All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. We're live.
We're live. All right, cool, guys. Thanks for sticking with us and tuning in for another episode. Today is number 28.
28.
And man, I was trying to figure out what I was doing in 28. I had to do the math because I was figuring like what year it was. I think it was 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my house had just gone into foreclosure at that point. And I was like trying to figure out what the fuck to do. I was still active duty in the military, teaching third phase. And I was pretty much fucked financially, trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life, whether I was going to stay in or go out. I think it was about 8 years in at that point, and 8 or 9 years in. So it was like, it's kind of like the shit or get off the pot time. Right. Like 10 years in, you're like, okay, well, I got to do another 10 and get retirement, or do I get out and fucking see what's what? But
jeez Louise, dude.
Yeah, that was 28 for me.
Damn.
Not my favorite year. But funny enough now, for the last I don't know, 15 years after that, every time I turned 43, I'm like, it's just the 15th anniversary of me turning 28.
Look at that. We should look at this. I know for me, I'm still 27, so I'm not 28. But I think something I'll just say is like what I look forward to next year, like being 28, it's having more. I think each year I'm in business, it's feeling more confident, more established in that aspect, right? Because right now I'm confident compared to last year, and building the relationships I have with people and just getting smarter every single day. I just can't wait to see where that brings me in 28, and just making sure like I'm the best at that one thing. People like I go to him, so.
Yeah, man. I think that comes with time. I think there's like a reverse learning curve with confidence in business. Like when you don't know anything, super confident. Because you're like, fuck, dude, I got this. It's like when you're a teenager, you're like in life and you're like, oh, I fucking got this. I know everything. Then you learn a little bit and you realize, oh shit. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know shit. And you're like, oh my God, how the fuck am I going to get through this?
It's layers,
And then you do start to learn a little bit and you get into it for a while and you start to make some right decisions and gain some real confidence. And then the curve starts to go back up again. But yeah, I think that's the way with anything. It's difficult too, like fighting. Like if you learn fighting, before you learn fighting, you probably think you're a really good fighter. Then you go roll with somebody at a normal gym and like you're getting thrown around by like a fucking blue belt, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know shit.
Yeah, dude.
And then you learn a little bit, and the more you learn on a lot of these things, the more I learn that I don't know shit anyway. Yeah. I just know a little bit more than I did yesterday.
Yeah, dude. My dad growing up, he's in karate forever. And the older I got, I kind of like just roughhouse with him, blah, blah, blah. But this fool fucked me up, man. Like he's fast, dude. Like I feel like I'm quick. Dude, he's like, what is he now, 60 something?
Dang, dude.
He's still got the hand. He's fast, So it's just crazy, like technique, time, discipline, and yeah, it's confidence. So.
Yeah, I get it, man. So today's topic is kind of topicless. We're thinking about a lot of things to chat about on the way in today, and we just realized that, man, maybe the best thing we could do is just have an open conversation about like what his business is going through right now, what my business is going through right now, and show you guys as listeners like what that conversation looks like from two peer entrepreneurs. And from my level, like we're around 15 years in entrepreneurship now, and we'll maybe do anywhere, depending how Q4 goes, between 7 and 10 million this year. Mm-hmm. And this business right now is this is our 7th year in business. Mm-hmm. And then where's like the stats on your stuff?
So for what we're in,
just so people get like
September,
context.
Yeah, 100%. So this is pretty much my 2nd year in business. Constantly trying to figure out what we wanted the route to go, and it's more concreted now. But yeah, hitting 6 figures this year, 150. Yeah. So
yeah, and you just brought on a new partner, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this in previous episodes, but I was curious how you guys structured that, because you had your own business, he had his own business, and then you guys created a business together. Mm-hmm. How did you guys end up working out the split on that?
So for me right now, so he didn't have his own business, right? He works for a business, right? Okay. So he has a normal like 9 to 5. And then I had my Kota Films on the side. Yeah. But I've known him since 2019. So me and him always wanted to start that business. And he's always been like the more business savvy side when I've always been the creative side and knowing what's going on in social media. So we just always knew like that's what we wanted to do. So we just kind of joined together, and that's what we do now for fitness coaches, help them create short form content to build their online presence. So the way that we split it right now is 50-50. And the reason for that is because me and him did knock out who's in charge of what. I'm in charge of creatives. I'm in charge of the whole creative aspect of what we're filming, what we're doing, what needs to be going on, what's hot, I guess, in social media. And keeping up with the editors, the people on our team, like making sure they're all on the same pace, blah, blah, blah. He handles, and that's also a creative thing for like landing pages, right? So I take all that. What he does is he focuses on the ad copy. He focuses on the whole ad set. He's more of like the business financial advisor, right? He takes care of more of the money side. So it's just like me and him in the beginning, it was trying to find what that equal split was.
Yeah, roles and responsibilities are one of the most important things you gotta hash through as a new partnership. Absolutely.
So yeah, man. It was just one of those things where it felt like in the beginning I was doing more shit stuff because it's a lot of creative stuff, like the logos and like websites, ads, videos.
Dude, it's a lot in the beginning,
right? So to me, I was like, is this 50-50 gonna work? But when it's more like I need to focus on this, what's he gonna focus on today? Well, ad spend and the aspect of what ad campaigns we're running, making sure emails are all caught up, everything's clean on the back end for tax purposes, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, like the business structure. Yeah, you're more like the product services, and he's more like the infrastructure, like the wireframe of the business structure, making sure everything's squared away.
Yeah,
that's super important, man. For those of you guys listening that are thinking about doing a partnership as well, there's a really good book called Rocket Fuel with Gino Wickman that outlines like a visionary and an integrator. And you'll have varying, roles within those. But man, the best partnerships are people who have about like a 20% overlap of skill and 80% like unique skill set. Because then what you can bring to the table is a really powerful combination, and it works really well. That's how Disney and I operate too. She's really good operational side, and I'm more like, kind of skipping around a bunch of ideas. And then when something sticks, I'll focus on it and try to pull it in. And then once I get it going, I'll hand it off to her. And then she basically puts all systems and processes around it, and then has our team like go ahead and like cement everything in. But that's kind of how we operate. But yeah, dude, partnerships can be, at least for me, like the best and the worst thing. Like I miss having a partner like Mike because it was fucking awesome. Just somebody who's in it with you.
Yeah.
But then at the end of that, I was really frustrated with Mike because he was fucking pissing me off just as much as I'm sure I was pissing him off. But yeah, we were 50-50 on that as well. And I think it's a good way to go, man. Because I've seen I remember one client we were working with, they were 51-49 and they had some problems in their partnership. And I was trying to help them out, but they just kind of backstabbed us. Fucked us over. I didn't even mention in the last episode. Another fucking ding. Another motherfucker fucked us over.
Fucked over.
Yeah, but they end up having like really solvable problems, but they just weren't fucking talking to each other. And I'm like, dude, you guys, I'm talking to one guy, I'm talking to the other guy. I'm like, you guys both want the same thing. Like you want this business to succeed. You just need to fucking talk to each other about what it is. And they were both hiding shit from each other. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, get your shit together.
Yeah. With me and him, it's still baby phase, it's still infant. But we're working with clients. So it's like, we're in that. It's not like we don't have a client yet. So we're already doing it, but we are ready because it's not a perfect marriage all the time, especially when you work with each other. I think it's just one of those things that me and him are really mature, and me and him are like best friends. But we know this is like the thing that will catapult us into everything we've wanted.
Yep.
And we both have that.
Gotta have the same goal, man.
That's it.
Huge.
So he wants the mansion in the cul-de-sac in La Jolla too. So
good, dude. All right, be all neighbors, man. The pool barbecue and shit.
Yeah, dude.
It's a bonfire and burn $100 bills.
The life.
One day.
One day.
So yeah, to catch you up, I think I've talked to you about parts of this on and off throughout the last couple months. But for those guys in the viewership here, Industry Threadworks is our main company. This is the one that's about 7 years old, and we do apparel manufacturing, screen printing, and embroidery and data analysis and infrastructure support for apparel brands. Usually, 5 to 6 or 7 figures. We have a couple 8-figure clients, but primarily our goal is to help 5-figure brands become 6-figure brands, 6-figure brands become 7-figure brands. So we started doing fulfillment about 3 years ago, and it was actually Disney's suggestion that we do it, and it's always been part of our program. It wasn't a moneymaker for a long time. It actually cost me $250,000 to get it to the point where it was like a year at the beginning of the year. So it was never like, it was just a money suck, dude. It was losing, $10,000 to $15,000 a month for a long time because we had to set the overhead. And but when you commit to, a 3-year lease on a warehouse, it's, 6,000 square feet and you're filling up 10% of it, like you're going to be fucking underwater. So we ended up building that out, made a lot of changes to that. And now that has been profitable, net $6,000 to $8,000 a month, which is way better than losing, 10 to 15 grand a month. So that's been positive. So what we did is we actually split that company off from the primary company late last year. So this is the first year, 2022 is the first year we're operating as 2 separate companies. Even though I guess technically we operate as one company, but we're like the payroll is from 2 different companies, 2 different EINs. We did that for tax purposes, but also because they both have 2 different trajectories. So with industry, I want to purely be able to focus on the production aspect of it and helping brands grow from 5, 6, 7, 8 figures, like whatever they need. We have a lot of infrastructure and answers and solutions and support for that, and we can really help them scale and grow. But that has a top line trajectory that's different than the fulfillment side, and the operations are different, the employees are different, the culture is a little bit different, and even the space is different. So we split the fulfillment side off last year. So it's called Archive Fulfillment Solutions, and it's completely separate, and that handles all the fulfillment. It only focuses on fulfillment. Right now, primarily just for apparel brands, but we have some other clients that do some kind of off the wall, wacky stuff. I mean, nothing illegal, but it's definitely stuff you're like, I never thought we'd do in a fulfillment company and fulfilling like, sex toys and shit.
Yeah. I was curious.
Like, all right, cool, dude. But it's funny too. Like, it's funny how everything's connected. Like that client that's doing like, they're basically a webcam service.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not gonna say their name, but they're such a fucking cool company. Like I've never actually been on the site, but I love like what they're doing, and the owner sounds really cool because actually their COO is a former team guy. He basically like taught himself to code and worked his way up, and now he's a COO, and they're a fucking like $1 billion company. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool, dude. This is like a friend of mine I can call him. Like it's pretty rad to have like a bro who's a CEO of a $1 billion company. Like it's just weird how things connect. But yeah, running fulfillment and that stuff, and we're doing like backpacks and t-shirts and wristbands, all the normal stuff, and then random fucking custom sex toys.
Where are those?
All right.
Where are those at?
they're buried in the warehouse. But yeah, because the trajectory of that company is a little bit different too. I don't want to talk about the exact goal that we have with that yet, but it's fucking big.
What like? Because we talked, but I don't think we ever like really talked about this part. Like, I know you didn't like fulfillment in the beginning.
No, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, what made you transition into like, all right, let's fulfill it? Like, you had the 10% space, like you still could fill, but like you hated it, so why go into it?
Well, that was after. So this is our third. We're sitting in our fifth warehouse right now. But that warehouse, the 6,000 square foot warehouse that we got, was our third warehouse, I think, second or third. And we grew out of a 3,000 square foot warehouse super fast. We just kept growing because we had a little bit, and then we'd figure stuff out, and then we'd grow, and then we'd have problems, and then figure it out. And that was just a constant thing. It was like we're constantly realizing, we think we know what we're doing, and we realize, oh, we're fucking this up. What can we do to fix it? Fix it. Okay, good. We're good for a little while. Oh, we're fucking this up. Fix it. It's the same stuff you're dealing with. It's that same inverted like curve when you first start out. You think you're awesome, and then you're like, holy shit, what am I doing? I feel like we're right on that that upswing again of the curve again. Like finally, I feel like I know enough to say we legit have a really good idea what we're doing and a really good plan moving forward. But that wasn't the case 2 years ago. We were just winging it. I mean, were doing well. Like our clients were happy, but it was like I didn't really have a big goal for the company. I was trying to figure out what the fuck we were even going to do with the fulfillment side of things. Yeah, it's worked out. It's worked out really well. Now that company has a potential of being much bigger than industry. And one of the main reasons I wanted to spin it off is I don't think I'll ever sell industry because I really love what we do. And this is something that I would love doing, when I'm 55 or 60, is just helping people build their dreams and helping, specifically apparel brands, because I think that's where I can provide the most value. But businesses in general, I just really enjoy that. But the fulfillment side of things, one of the things I like about it is very analytical. It's very numbers based. So it's like playing Tetris, like 3D Tetris, which is cool. But it's not like, it's very behind the scenes and it's very mechanical. So there's not a lot of like artistry or creativity in it other than like, the business structure. So I think with that, I wouldn't mind selling that company. But that's going to be probably 7 to 10 years. Then we have to build out a real estate portfolio to go with it because we want to own the warehouses. That gives us different opportunities and different people that we can sell it to later. But it was actually some very important conversations with Dan Fleischman, really helped us figure out what to do and what the options were. And then Aaron Wagner also was a huge, huge influence in figuring out when we were just, starting to figure out what the fuck we were doing. He's like, oh, well, here's the options that, I could see this playing out in 3 to 4 different ways. I was like, holy shit, that was amazing. Like Disney and I drove out to Salt Lake maybe, that must have been like 2 years ago now. And he's super, this dude's like doing $500 million a year. He's like legit baller fucking business dude and smart as shit. And a super nice guy. And he spent like the half a day with us, just chilling and rocking around and hanging out. And we were asking him questions about like, what we were doing and getting his take on it. And a lot of information, because talking to like, I don't know, if you've ever got the chance to talk to like a super high level guy, a lot of times like when I'm talking to like Andy or Ed or Wagner or Fleischman, like the shit that they're saying, I'm just like, I can't even absorb it at the time. I'm like, holy shit, this is so far over my fucking head. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know what to do with the information. That was one of those situations, but it wasn't until Disney and I were driving back from Salt Lake. It's like a 15-hour drive. And we're just cruising back and we weren't even listening to music, like no podcast, no nothing. We're just enjoying the drive and talking. And through that 15 hours, we mapped out the whole plan for what the fulfillment side of the business was because of the conversations we had with Fleischman and Wagner. And
for Archive?
For Archive, yeah. Damn. And it completely like made clear everything that we needed to do. Because before that, we're like, fuck, dude, like we have these pieces. It's like a puzzle. Like we have the pieces, but we didn't have the picture of what it was supposed to look like. So we're like putting things together like, oh, this fits with this and this fits with this, but you don't really know what the fuck it's supposed to look like. But it was those conversations that really outlined the whole picture of it. It's like, okay, this is what it could look like. And once we figured that out, the way there became so much more clear. So yeah, shout out to Fleischman and Wagner. Those guys are like huge influence in us being able to set this up. So
I think that's the one thing, like when we were talking about experience and like you said it before, where I want to be more confident the next year. I always want to gain confidence and shit like that. Like those guys are confident. They know their shit, but they've been doing it for a long time. They got a lot of reps.
Well, they still have their doubts.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where I'll be thinking of like, damn, how do I do this faster? How do I do this better? Right? I come across a podcast with like Dan or Gary Vee or whoever, and someone will come up to him randomly and they just have like an idea like how to fix it right away. And it's just like, fuck, like that's so crazy how their brain can go so quickly into a like problem solution like that because they either dealt with it or they just been around that space. They don't have to be an expert in that field or niche, but they know like, oh, it's business is business. You could just fix it that way,
Yeah, that's kind of how I judge my progress excuse me, as an entrepreneur and what I'm ready for next is I'll look at situations exactly like that. Like Gary Vee was a huge influence in the beginning because he's totally right. Like you just need to do more shit. Just go try it and realize that 90% of it's not going to work and don't get fucking mad at yourself. Just go do it again. But after a while, like I would look at the questions that they were being asked and I would think, okay, how would I answer this? And then in the beginning, I was blown away by all their answers. Like, oh, fuck, I never thought about that. And after a while, I'm like, oh, that's very similar to how I would answer it. So I think Gary Vee is a great, like when you're first starting out in business, Gary has amazing energy and he's just like really good at just doing shit, And then after that, I think listened to Andy's first couple podcasts, the MFCEO project, from the beginning, like really opened my eyes up to how he was thinking. And same thing, I was like blown away by all the answers. And after a while, I'm like, oh, I get it. This makes sense. This is how they think about things. And it kind of gave me a framework for how I should be thinking about things if I want to get to their level. And slowly, after a while, I would hear them get ask questions. I'm like, okay, here's how I'd answer it. And pretty soon, it just got to the point where I knew what they were going to say, and I knew what I was going to say, and they're pretty aligned on a lot of stuff, like 80 to 95% sometimes. So, but there's also some much more nuanced things, like when Jocko answers questions, I'm like, holy shit, like a really difficult leadership question. I'm like, bro, I don't know what I would answer. I don't know the answer to this. And he articulates in such a way that I'm like, oh, fuck, blown away. Because I am not that good at like the leadership portion of it. Man, I got a lot to learn. But the business aspect of it, business is pretty linear. Like it's pretty logical. It makes sense. But leadership is all about humans. And fuck, man, humans still make very little sense to me. So that's how I personally track progress, is listen to other entrepreneurs answer questions and then kind of following along, like, okay, what's my progress compared to what they're answering? How am I understanding the subject material? It's kind of like the test.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's what I mean, like that aspect. You hear someone else's opinion, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how? How? But just because they're really good at that ad set or that aspect of what they're doing. Jocko, leader, like facts, So when he answers a question like that, fuck, like, okay,
mind blowing. You're like, oh fuck, I would have never thought to approach a situation like that.
Because we're not focusing on leadership. We're not but that's like, I feel like Jocko's brand in that way, It's just like,
he's like legit world class at it. That's why he's doing what he's doing. But also too, if you look at it like what you've learned over the last, year and a half running your own stuff, if somebody were to come to you and ask, okay, what should I do in the first 6 months? You'd know right away.
Yeah.
You'd be able to tell them and knock it out because that's your forte. Whereas somebody else, like me answering that question, be like, fuck, I don't know. I got to tell me more about your business. I don't really know because I'm not in the space that you're in, you know? And that's why I just love focusing on the apparel stuff because I know I'm right about all this shit. The other business stuff, the other like leadership and everything, I'm like, I don't know. I'm mostly guessing. Sometimes I'm right. I have a pretty good idea, but I'm not fucking sure. But the apparel stuff, I know I'm fucking right because not just have I seen it and executed in my own brands, but we work with hundreds of different clients a year. Most of them are dedicated apparel brands. And like, we see the same patterns and we know, okay, this fucking works. Okay, this does not work. Like, if you want to do it, like, and we'll tell our clients, I feel like it's our responsibility to guide our clients. So if they come to us, like, I want to do this. We're like, cool, we can totally do that. But here's the things to look out for if you want to do that. And here's why I don't recommend doing that course of action. Here's something that we can do instead. It's going to give you higher margins, lower lead times, better customer satisfaction, like way more reliability. And usually they'll, they understand that and they'll do what we suggest to them to do. And things work out. And that's why they're able to scale. But yeah, some brands, like they're just most apparel brands are driven by a personality, and a lot of times it's a dude. And dudes' personalities a lot of times are very tied in with their ego. And sometimes even if we're right, they just don't want to fucking hear it. Or maybe they just don't want to hear it from me. That's why, like, Disney is a great like brand manager, and a lot of all our brand manager staff right now is females because it just removes the ego.
Yeah,
and it's way easier for a dude to listen to a woman tell him something and be like, oh, fuck, all right, cool, you're right. Whereas just another dude, they're like, well, fuck, I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah.
I gotta do it. It's for me. It's my brand. I'm like, okay, hey, whatever. Yeah, man, you got it. Whatever. Do whatever you want. Like, it is what it is. But yeah. Oh, the other things that we're changing in the business. So one of the problems we have in our business is that it's pretty high volume, but it's very low margin. So even though we might do, between 7 and 10 million this year, we make most of our money in Q4. But the problem is, because we're a manufacturer, technically, we're entirely beholden on how much money our clients make. So if our clients are aggressive and want to grow and scale, fucking awesome. We can help them. And then we get a lot of orders because they're selling a lot of orders and it works great. And then we make money, they make money, it all wins. But if they back off or they're not super aggressive about it, or they're unfocused and they're doing other shit other than apparel, it's like, fuck, man, our income is entirely dependent on that. And our minimum, like we have to make about $388,000 a month to fucking break even. That's our fucking break even, dude, with payroll and like overhead and all this shit. So like for us, it's like, but that's one of the things I dislike about our business model, the one that I created, is that we're so highly dependent on our customers being aggressive and going, or our clients being aggressive and going out and building. That's why we do everything we can to help them grow and scale, because like their success is literally our success. And it works and it's fun, but it's frustrating when like we want to grow and we want to do shit and I want to have, you know, more control of our finances. So that's why we're repositioning industry as more of a B2C brand. And that's why I've got like the oil wash t-shirts and mineral wash t-shirts, all this stuff. We actually had those a year and a half ago. I produced them all a year and a half ago, even the shorts. And we just had them sitting in our warehouse because we were just too busy, too focused on our clients' brands. And I'm like, dude, because we normally, you know, sell like maybe 2 t-shirts a month or something like that. But now that we have all the stuff, we just now took photos of all the things. We did a photo shoot like last month. So we just put them up on the site like 2 weeks ago. And they're pretty cool and they're selling. And it reminded me that I actually really do enjoy that side of things. I like the creative aspect and rolling it. So we're going to refocus partially on that. Another reason for that is that Disney completely runs, she's the CEO of industry. So she completely runs everything. She's extremely good at operations. So she's got everything covered. So it actually works better when I don't poke my fucking nose and things. I keep my hands out of the fucking machinery. So I need to find other things to do. So it frees up my time that I can now focus on the creative side of the business, which I actually really enjoy. We're going to get back into marketing and advertising because
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I think it's part of it is when I've built my brands, I haven't built any brands recently. And if we're going to position ourselves as these subject matter experts on building and scaling brands, I should fucking have one. Like I should have one that's current, you know, not like, you know, sold Forge in 2012. And I think I was trying to add up all the ones that I've been involved in as like either a fully owner or like a partner. I think it's like 6 or 7 altogether. I'd have to like really sit down and fucking write them all out. But none of them were like, I haven't done a focused brand in at least 6 years. So I'm like, this is a cool opportunity for me. Now that I have the time and Disney's running everything, I actually have the freedom to dive back into it. And I'm super excited to do it. But also the landscape looks completely different for a brand now than it did, you know, when I first started 15 years ago. Completely different. And some things are a lot easier. Like, you know, getting out there is a lot easier. But the problem is it's so easy to get out there that fucking everybody is doing it. So then the next challenge is breaking through the noise and differentiating yourself from everybody else. But I think I'm going to be better at what I do for industry as a brand manager, not a brand manager, but like, I don't know, as a partner for our clients, if I have my own brand, because then it won't be like secondhand, I'm helping them solve their problems. Like I'm solving my own fucking problems and then sharing the solutions with them. Yeah. The other point is though, the margins fucking terrible in manufacturing. Like our highest volume client, like some of our bigger clients, like 8-figure brands, it's awesome. They do, you know, they're spending millions of dollars a year with us, but dude, we're making, in some cases, like average of 40 cents per unit profit margin before we pay overhead, before we pay payroll. So like me personally, I make it like literally pennies in my pocket net on that, which is like not good from a business model standpoint. But what it does is it allows us leverage to create a lot of volume, and we make money through the volume. So for instance, in an example like this is one of the things we've struggled with over the last, you know, fucking 3 or 4 years after our overhead went up and our prices didn't, which we talked about in our episode. So we don't want to raise our prices because we're technically in competition with, you know, every other screen shop. But because of the large volume that we do, it gives us other options. So for instance, now we were getting blank t-shirts like 6 to 10 for like $3.95. which, well, years ago they used to be like $2.85 or $3, but with COVID and everything, now they're like $4.60.
God damn.
Right, $4.60. But we were getting them for like $3.95. But now, because of the large volume that we do, we can start to buy in container amount. So in this case, we bought like 40,000 units for $3.15. So 80-cent difference between $3.95 and $3.15. So now we got to spend, $137,000 on the container. But once we have the container, now if our profit margin was 40 cents, we just added 80 cents profit margin. That we tripled our fucking profit margin by buying in massive bulk. And it also insulates us from a lot of these, it's really rough seas right now with all manufacturing, because it's just like there's tidal waves of like everything's flooded with inventory and then everything's out. And it's just really just rough seas, So a lot of these like smaller mom and pop shops, they have a smaller boat and they're just getting fucking tossed, dude. It's really hard for them to field their orders and to even secure orders and stuff. Like I remember about a year and a half ago, we're having similar problems, but we have more infrastructure. But we had an order of like, I think 2,000 shirts, and we had to order from 10 different warehouses across the US because one was sold out of like, we needed 150 larges or 150 mediums. And one place had like 100 and they were out. One place had 50, but they had no XL. So we had to kind of combine this one order in 10 different warehouses and pull it all in. And a normal smaller shop they don't have the bandwidth and manpower to do that. But thankfully we do. And thank God I built all this before COVID happened, because we had enough infrastructure to ride it out. So we've just been slowly like stacking planks and building a bigger and bigger boat. And now, we have something that is able to withstand some heavy seas because we're a much fucking bigger boat. But the problem is that boat eats up a lot of gas, dude. We're not like in a fucking rowboat anymore, dude. We're like $388,000 a month in fucking gas. Like it takes a lot to run that shit. But I think you always have advantages and disadvantages any size of business. I think when we were smaller, our advantage was we could turn really fast, we could do great work, and we have high communication, and we had high margin. Now we don't have high margin, but we have a lot of volume, so we're a much bigger boat. We can't be as nimble, but we can plan ahead. We can plan, like we're making plans now for, Q3 and Q4 of next year, and then actually 2024 plans as well. So it allows us to kind of see further out and make longer term plans, because we're not worried about the next wave. We're looking at like the next ocean. It's a little bit different. But yeah, it's like that option wouldn't have been open to us a couple of years ago. And also too, like as financing options, like we're looking at it and we're like, okay, we got to pull $137,000 out of operating capital to go pay for this, because you got to pay up front for this, and we're going to burn through 40,000 units of that's just next level 6010, just black. So there's no other colors, there's no styles, no other nothing. And we're going to burn through 40,000 units of that in probably like 3 months, I think. And now, actually this week, we got to buy another one, because if we don't, we're losing 80 cents of profit margin on a thing that we're basically break even on. So we have to do these types of things to even keep things functional and growing. But that's our advantage now, is that we can leverage the large volume that we do to make these kinds of deals and just grow and grow and grow.
Is that normal for all apparel?
Yeah. Manufacturing always has super tight margins. Brands always have really big margins, like usually around a 400% markup. So if they're selling a shirt for, $30, they should be getting that shirt for around like, $750, something like that. Wholesale margins, they're selling to a brick and mortar, a $30 shirt, that brick and mortar is going to want it for 50% off, or roughly, $15. So there's ways to do it. But also apparel brands also have a lot of overhead, especially a modern apparel brand now, huge marketing costs, like 25 to 40% advertising marketing costs. And that's just getting more and more expensive. So it's tough on both ends of it, which is why we try to be as competitive as possible on price, because if we eat up too much margin from our clients, they don't have the margin to go out and spend it on marketing, advertising, and sell shit. So like, dude, we want to find that middle ground where like, okay, we have enough where we can functionally like sustain and scale, but also we want to leave them enough where we're a good partner for them and they have enough money where they can go out and fucking sell all the shit. Because it's got to be that way. And all our suppliers too, we operate very same way. Like we feed a lot of suppliers, and we get significant discounts from like the average shop, but that's because we give them a lot of fucking volume. And that's kind of just the machine that we've built now. But that's also why we can't work with like startup brands or anything now, because the machine that we built is just, it only runs at medium to high volume. Like we have a certain RPM range we have to go in. We just can't fucking idle, you know? I mean, our idle's like fucking 2000 RPM. Like, it just doesn't fucking work, you know?
No more low.
Yeah. So, but there's advantages and disadvantages at every stage in business. Just at the point we're in now, these are the advantages that are open to us. And I just want to, you know, let the viewers know that this is kind of how the way things operate. And then you'll see things in your case too, in your business, and anybody listening in your business, if you look for these things, you'll find them. You'll find your advantages over bigger companies, your advantages over smaller companies, your deficits and your weaknesses compared to them. And it comes back to, dude, self-awareness is a fucking superpower. If you can really be self-aware of yourself and your business and what your strengths and weaknesses are, man, you can really capitalize and grow your strengths and minimize your weaknesses quite a bit.
Damn. That's crazy. Because we're at almost 40. That was fast.
I know, man. It's just like shooting the shit episode. Like, it's going quicker than anything.
So fast. I thought we were like 25 or something.
Yeah. Well, another thing that we're doing too, and maybe this would be helpful for apparel brands, is a product-based business is really good. Even if it's a product that you have like, 400% markup on, like apparel. Product-based business like I had before, the kettlebell company was terrible. It's like, was that 25% markup?
Yeah.
It's not a good business model. But I think what's coming down the pipe is I'm seeing more and more information product type things coming up. Like for us, we have that information product on how to build and scale an apparel line on our website. We have a lot of free videos on YouTube, and it's going pretty well. And I think there's a lot more we can do with that. But if you're an apparel line, I think it makes sense to kind of look at what other things you can offer your customers that are more of a digital-based product. I know NFTs are just so brand new into the ecosystem. I don't think the NFTs of 3 years from now are going to look anything like the NFTs of today. I think Gary Vee probably has the best take on this, where they're going to become like almost like living receipts, and you can have like, I think there's going to be whole marketing platforms around NFTs and almost like a new customer base. Like you have your SMS texting, you have your email marketing, you have your Facebook social advertising. I think there's going to be a whole ecosystem around NFTs because the opportunities there are so unique. So I think any apparel brand that is just operating with apparel, it would be very useful for them to look at some kind of other information product or community that they can, it doesn't have to make money, just something where you can build a community and a digital collection of these people's profiles. Because a digital collection of people's profiles on like a Facebook group or something like that, say it's like 3,000 people, or 30,000 people, like that's 3 or 30,000 people. Like if they were standing in front of you, and like that's a stadium full of people.
Yeah, right.
Like you can do a lot with that. And you have the fucking microphone and you're on stage in front of a stadium full of people. Facebook group is the same way. So I think if a lot of these brands, I think are going to start transitioning to groups or communities or some kind of like having some kind of digital aspect to them. Because honestly, the margins are getting tighter and tighter with actual products, because the marketing and advertising getting so fucking expensive, and the return on ad spend is just going down and down and down. So I think something's going to have to be done different. And I think there's an opportunity with NFT, not NFTs directly, but the capabilities of NFTs to integrate into like a community type thing. I think it's going to be real interesting. I think somebody's going to figure it out in the next 6 months. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm not that smart, but I think somebody's much smarter than me will figure it out, and then I want to be the first to fucking jump on it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I think to me, technology is so fucking like it's intimidating, because you're like, fuck, that's something new I have to learn, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, it's such a beautiful thing. Like, yeah, you learn it because you can capitalize when that thing first comes out. You're like, fuck. I remember like when Clubhouse came out. Remember Clubhouse?
Oh, yeah. I was on that a lot.
Yeah, I was on it too. But everyone's like, this is the new fucking next thing, Clubhouse. Like,
such a fucking time waster, though.
And then done.
My God.
Like, it just fell off. And it's just like, but everyone's already like, everyone's on alert of what's going to be that thing, and it's just going to grab.
But I think it's important to you don't have to be fully like both feet in, but just have an awareness of it. Like just log into Clubhouse and see how it works.
Yeah.
Because that's how humans have only been in digital communication for like 20 fucking years, realistic. Like social media is only, 15 years old, really? So we're just now figuring out how to communicate in the digital age. So I think if you want to build a brand or a company of any size, I think it's very useful to at least get your feet wet. You don't have to do a cannonball in fucking deep end, but wade in a little bit and figure out these social media platforms and see what you like, what you don't like. But the most important part is see how people are using them. Mm-hmm. See what the conversation looks like. Like, how are people interacting with other people on TikTok versus on Instagram versus on Clubhouse? Because there are different types of conversations. The same people might be saying the same things, but they say it differently because their audience receives it differently in each one of these platforms. I think if you can understand the nuances of that, man, you're gonna be fucking light years ahead of all your competitors, especially when it comes to creating a particular marketing message or a branding message to those people. It's just going to benefit you. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to log in and figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. How do you acquire customers right now? Is it all referral based pretty much?
We're changing that. Yeah, this is something that we're struggling with too, because we did an audit of all our clients and realized that like 99.9% of them came from me. Mm-hmm. And part of me is like, fuck yeah, cool, ego, I'm good, yeah, everybody loves me. Well, that's not true, but but I was like, okay, that makes me feel good in that, but it's also scary because that means we're super fucking limited because we don't get anybody that just Google's screen printing San Diego or whatever and lands on our website and it's like, yeah, these guys are more expensive, but I believe they're good. Like it just doesn't happen. Yeah. So that's one of the big pushes we're doing. We're completely revamping our website. Our whole customer or client journey on there. That's the whole whiteboard over there is about, just totally revamping the whole thing. We're wireframing it out, and we're gonna have Ari at Digital Nomad Designs. Shout out to Ari.
Shout out.
If you got any Shopify stuff, go to Ari. We're gonna have her redo the website because I don't want to be the bottleneck. Yeah. I don't want to be the person holding it up. And honestly, for us to achieve our goals, I fucking can't be. Mm-hmm. I can't be the lighthouse for $100 million brand or $300 million brand. I can't fucking physically do it. So I need to build the funnel bigger because we have the infrastructure to support it. Like we could do 5 times the business that we do now without having to increase our infrastructure at all. So I'm excited about exploring those opportunities because these are things that I fucked up in the past. And I'm just now realizing like last couple months, okay, this is what we need to fucking fix. We want to get to where we're going. And we're putting things in place. And thankfully, we've got some really good people on the team. We have creative meetings every week with, some of our top people. And they shine a light on things. So I think like, oh, this is a fucking great idea. And they're like, I don't know. If you thought about this, I'm like, fuck, dang it. You're right. You're right. That's a much better idea. We'll go with yours.
That's why having a team's so great.
Dude, yeah.
I love it. That's why I love having a partner. Yeah. It's not just splitting up and divvy up the work. It's like you say something and it's like, no, that shit was whack. Mm-hmm. Really? Should probably like, what about if we tweaked it this way?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Dude,
thank
totally.
God. Like, I could have spent half a week working on this thing and it's just funny.
I totally agree, man. That's one thing I always just say about Forge. Like as much as, Mike and I annoyed each other, what we were able to produce together was way cooler than anything that either one of us could produce on our own, for sure. He was really good at some things. I was really good at some things. And we both had, massive weaknesses and massive egos. But ultimately it fucking worked, And it's cool to see it. It's cool to see all these things.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more I'm like, everybody who is a winner is fucking winning.
Yeah.
The great thing too is everybody who's a fucking dick and fucked us over, every one of them is fucking losing. I love it, dude. There's a big part of me that's fucking petty. I'm like, dude, fuck you. I fucking love it, dude. I love to see winners win as much as I see losers.
I was gonna say, if you guys want to see or hear how many times Ryan's been fucked over, watch the episode before this.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't. When's that? Is that the one releasing tomorrow?
This will be. That one's already out, 27. So this is 28. So yeah.
Oh, it's already out. I thought it was released tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, but yeah.
Okay,
in this age.
Oh, that's right. You've already listened to it like 10 times. Yeah. I haven't even heard it yet.
Yeah, go listen to 27 because it's insane. And they're all clients. They were all clients.
They were, yeah. Yeah, man. I was thinking about that too. I always like in the moment when I'm recording, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. And then I'm like, God dang, was I too negative? Was I too like what? Second guessing
I can't wait
yourself?
to send you the IG videos.
God, I know, man.
Because they're funny. I'm like, fuck.
I didn't realize how much I got fucked over. But at the same time, I think maybe that's good because I never really think about it. I'm always like, oh, I learned something, move forward, learn something, move forward. But it wasn't until we had that conversation, like, holy shit, I've actually been through a lot of crap, dude.
Yeah, man. I think you just made an example for me where you're like, oh, if someone came up to you and said, like, what do I do in the first stage of business? I would know exactly what to do, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, to me, I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, right now, I'm very experienced when it comes to like landing pages and like building out course, all this kind of shit. And that's why I like wrote like all this stuff down right here in front of me. But it feels somewhat different because it's a different audience, you know, it's a different avatar. So you're trying to be that specific, even when you're not that person. And we're talking about like the growing your own personal brand, because you're going to help other build their own personal brand. But if you don't have a personal brand or like anything like that, they're not going to, I don't know, you know, you have to build that shit first. But like, I was just like reading all this stuff and it made me just think like, nah, you have all that stuff built in and you're already having experience with it. You just have to like look back, and even when they were shitty clients and screwed you over, like it's something you get to look back and be like, oh fuck, like I'm really here.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that too is knowing what I know now and like being, I think, a much better communicator than I was, 5 years ago. I think I could have held on to those clients because I would understand that they're not doing it from a place of malice. Like they're just doing it because they're dealing with their own shit and they were just taking out on me. And I think maybe I took it too personal or whatever, but I think I would have been able to salvage a lot of those relationships now. And it bothers me because I'm like, fuck, dude, now like Mike and I don't talk. Mike never fucked me over. He's some of his other people in his life are not my favorite. but Mike himself is awesome. And some of these other guys that like were my best friends at the time, like, fuck, dude, I miss them. I miss having those people. And I feel bad that like, I wish I would have been a better communicator. I wish I would have known what I know now and kept those people in my life, So yeah, it is what it is. But also too, that reminded me when you were saying that, was that what you would describe somebody, in their first 6 months, you being a year and a half in, now the you a year and a half from now will know exactly the answers that you now would ask that person.
Yeah.
So it's just a constant progression, dude. But also I think that's why it's super important to find other people who are on the path. Like Arete has been a huge, huge asset for me because there's so many people over there that are doing much bigger shit than I am. And learning from them and just having conversations with them. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where I met Wagner and Fleischman and all these other dudes. Like just having conversations with people who are further ahead than me and being open to learning and, dropping your ego and be like, fuck, man, like, what do you got? How can I learn? Mm-hmm. Help me get fucking better.
Yeah, dude. That's where, I don't know, entrepreneurship, where it's the first thing we started with. I think we'll end on that is just you take that first step and you're like, oh, dude, this is simple. Like,
I got this. I'm the best ever.
Page 1. And then there's like inserts within that page 1. Another insert within that page. It's just like, this is only page 1 still, but there's like 39 pages, 50, 100 pages. And you're like, oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Until you actually start putting your reps in and you start doing it. And to me, it's like what Alex Hormozi always says. He's like, you only fail if you quit. You know? And it's just like, it's very true.
Dude, I love listening to that guy's podcast, man. I learned so much from that too.
Fucking so good, dude. He articulates very well.
Yeah.
Like, he's just really good at speaking.
He's the one podcast where like, I wish there was an option to slow it down because there's such good information. It's so fast. Yeah. Like, fuck, dude, rewind.
That's why
it takes me a longer time to get it in my fucking mind.
I know, dude, because the podcasts are great,
Yeah.
But I listened to his Audible $100 million offers like 5 times.
Oh, I still
he talks fast and I want to write shit down. So I bought the book.
There you go.
Because it's like, but the thing is, once you read it or listen to Audible that many times, or you just know that person's voice, when you read it, you just hear their voice. So it's like, this is perfect.
That makes
Slow
sense,
down.
All right, cool, guys. Well, that is episode 28, 50 minutes roughly in.
Yeah.
That went way longer than like
that flew.
Yeah. It's just, we had no topic coming in. We're just, hey, let's shoot the shit and talk about what's going on in our businesses. So I would encourage you guys listening to find somebody who you have a similar business with, or maybe not a similar business, but somebody who is also on the same journey as you, whether that's just starting out or ahead of you, or maybe you're ahead and you want to talk with somebody who's going through something now. I know even though we're 15 years in, I learn a ton from these conversations from you because you're in it actually doing a different stage than me. And it reminds me of things. And also it shows me how different the landscape is now, which helps me be a better, partner for my clients. So yeah, you guys don't need us to do this. We'd love to have you DM us questions and all that, but find somebody who is close to you in your town or your city and go have coffee, go out for drinks and just chat about shit and be open and honest. And I think you'll find that, man, a lot of these conversations that we're having and you're like, oh, fuck, that's the same thing I'm dealing with. It's because everybody fucking deals with it. Every entrepreneur goes through the exact same fucking thing. It's just nobody talks about it because they think they're fucking it up.
It's true. And that's like, yeah, dude, find the person in your town. And the aspect of like entrepreneurs love talking about their business, you know, and because they're different types of breed. When I go somewhere and I don't know, like someone that's like, what do you do? Like, I have this job. It's like, oh, but someone's an entrepreneur. Oh, what's up, my man? Like, it's like
you talk about shit that you love. If you're a car guy, you talk to other car guys.
Exactly.
So like Disney's into horses. She fucking loves talking to other horse people.
Yeah. So if you need help and you just need a direction, talk to people there that are doing it. And shortcuts are
game
the answer.
changer.
Yeah.
Game changer, man.
Or watch the last 27 episodes of this podcast.
That's right. Yeah. All right, cool, man. Well, I think we're wrapping this up. It went longer, but it was good, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having this combo.
Oh, this is great. All the time. All right, man.
Shake and bake,
dude.